6. It's my favorite time of year with college basketball. And, you know, there's college basketball. And, well, there's lots of things to be excited about. Recruiting. You know, I'll be all over that just as soon as I figure out when signing day is. And I'll provide the same great commentary and analysis you've come to expect over the years. 3 days a week, 3 weeks a month, 8 months a year, right here on The Zone.
Be good to your vehicle, and it'll be good to you. Hi, I'm Gabriel Garcia from Texas Mobile One Lube Express. And while that's a simple concept, it's so true. We're a full-service oil and lube shop with years of experience. And that experience tells us to always go the extra mile for our customers. Like topping off fluids for free on most vehicles and free tire pressure checks. Do your car some good and stop by Texas Mobile One Lube Express on East William Joe Bryan, next to the Bryan Post Office.
Here's Brad Beard of Intercon.
If you have considered replacing the windows in your brick veneer home, you may have been told that it would be necessary to either remove the brick or tear up the inside of your window box. You need to know that Intercon replaces windows and brick every day, and we don't tear up anything except the window which is being removed. By installing windows every day, Intercon well as the best windows in brand new homes. Call Intercon or visit our showroom and we will furnish you customer references for homes you can look at and homeowners you probably know who can tell you that Intercon can solve your window problems without wrecking your home or your budget, just as we did theirs. Intercon will furnish a free quote and we won't pressure you to buy.
Whether you have new construction or an existing home, let the fine folks from Intercon help your home energy efficiency year-round. Call Brad Beard of Intercon today at 823-3639. That's 823-3639.
As Americans, we celebrate all the things that make us different. So what is the thing that connects us? The thing that makes us Americans? It's simple. It's our shared belief that we are Americans. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. That belief that we each can be who we are and live the life we dream, in harmony with one another, in our system, written in the words of the Constitution. Know your Constitution. It's who you are. It's who we are.
Unity. It's an American thing. From AmericanThing.org.
As legendary as the man himself, it's the outdoor edition of Chip Howard Sports Talk. Thursdays at 5, it's Chip Howard. This is KZNE College Station Bryan.
From WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on The Zone. Bryan ISD school board members have the recommendations of a 30-member committee that has worked since last September on changing boundaries of elementary and intermediate schools. The BISD board is scheduled to take final action a week from tonight. One of 3 community members on the committee who is not a former board member was Pastor Sam Hill. He was among speakers during a board workshop yesterday.
I will be a staunch defender of what went on to make these boundaries.
Hill brought up everyone had an opportunity to provide their opinion.
I'm sure not everybody will be satisfied. I pastor a church. Nobody's ever satisfied.
Yesterday's BISD board presentation and more comments are at WTAW.com. A Bryan man appeared in Brazos County District Court last week where he admitted to striking a woman with a jar or his hand 2 years ago. A plea agreement with prosecutors sentences 21-year-old Detarian Mathis to 2 years for family violence assault with a prior conviction. The maximum punishment was 10 years. Mathis gave up his right to appeal the conviction and sentence. TxDOT is conducting a statewide bicycle analysis over the next year. Spokesman Bob Caldwell says the Bryan District Office is one of 4 pilot district bike plans.
The district bike plans will analyze needs on the highway system, prioritize routes, and identify potential improvements through technical studies, stakeholder engagement, and virtual public meetings.
Caldwell says citizens can submit feedback now through an online survey, and public meetings will begin this spring. You can find a link to the online survey at WTAW.com. Tomorrow is the first day that nonprofit agencies around the Brazos Valley can start applying for the next cycle of United Way of the Brazos Valley Community Impact Grants.
The funding is for a 2-year period. The deadline for that application is going to be February 11th at 5 p.m.
Interim President Peggy Goss says more information is on their website at uwbv.org. More news at WTAW.com. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Since 1957, Slovacek Sausage in Snook has been making the best tasting sausage in Texas from the same family recipe. Slovacek is the official sausage of Texas A&M Athletics. Whether it's from the grill to the family gathering or from the pit to the neighborhood party, serve the sausage voted best in the Brazos Valley. Serve Slovacek. Be sure to come in and check out their full-service meat market, relax on the front porch, or grab some fresh kolaches from their bakery on your way out. Slovacek Sausage, Highway 60 in Snook.
Have you heard?
Heard about what?
Have you heard about Hullabaloo Avenue?
Hullabaloo Avenue? What's that?
Hullabaloo Avenue is home to Aggieland's most diverse selection of officially licensed Texas Aggie gear. And right now they're having their biggest sale of the year with savings up to 40% off. Hullabaloo Avenue has something for the Aggie in your life. Fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, cousins, and friends too. Find deals on vintage Aggie clothing, Adidas ball caps and hats, t-shirts, collectibles, and more. All 40% off. Hullabaloo Avenue on George Bush across from Kyle Field. Look for the big green sign next to TexAgs.
Good morning, sports fans. I'm Zach Taylor with your Aggie Sports Minute on The Zone. This Sports Minute is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click HilcoSupply.com. Texas A&M tight end Max Wright has announced he will be returning for a fifth season. Wright played in 8 games for the Aggies last year, recording career highs with 9 catches for 129 yards and a touchdown. He was forced to sit out the final 2 games after suffering an injury against Auburn on November 12th. Out on the court, A&M forward Julius Marble has been named the SEC Men's Basketball Player of the Week after helping lead the Aggies to wins over Florida and LSU. Marble, a junior transfer from Michigan State, scored 17 points in the victory over the Gators and 17 more in the win over the Tigers. Marble on his recent success.
Teammates help out a lot, setting things up. Wade was amazing tonight. He was always looking for me on the rolls or down the court, so that kind of helped out a little bit. And, if I'm in the right position, guys understand that, if I've got a guy deep seal, they can throw it to me and I'll, make a good play or, score.
Julius and the guys have now won 4 straight and sit at 2-0 in SEC play. They'll be back in action tomorrow when they host number 20 Missouri at Reed Arena. Now, on the women's side of the court, the Aggies are mired in a 5-game slump. They'll try to get out of it this Thursday when they welcome Tennessee to town. To get Coach Joni Taylor's take, tune into her coach's show tonight from 6 to 7 right here on The Zone. And that's been your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On The Zone, I'm Zach Taylor.
What can you expect on the Louis Molina Show, presented by B&B Automotive and Superior Auto Service? Great question, Bob. Well, we talk a lot of Aggie football. We're fans of Aggie basketball, Aggie baseball, too. From time to time, we'll venture into the lifestyles portion. Sure, maybe it's not sports, but things in the life of every sports fan. We also love to take your text messages, great guests from around the country. That's what you can expect from the Louis Molina Show, presented by B&B Automotive and Superior Auto Service.
If I'm going to do this, I'll need my news team at my side.
News team, assemble!
Howdy, Aggieland. Welcome to the SEC.
Our program will be built on 4 principles in which I talk about all the time: toughness, effort, discipline, and pride.
Dang it! I'm going to have to buy that boy cream cone.
Now I'm distracted on my point. What were we talking about?
It's bullcrap. All I care about is winning. Show me the dang baby.
You do it till they do it right, and then you do it till they can't do it wrong.
Go get him! Why are you dancing around? Eat him like he's a steak.
He fits what TexAgs Radio is about. He fits into what the listeners are going to want. He's a pro on every level.
It's Nuño and the crew on TexAgs Radio. Right here on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Zone.
Hey, hit records on my demo. Did y'all boys not get the memo? I do not stay at the Intercontinental.
So, look, I like Sonny Dykes, but maybe, just maybe, you got to be careful what you say out there because I'll just reset what he said at some point during the college football playoff madness. He said, we don't have the good fortune to play out of conference games like the SEC does in week 10 or 11. You're not going to catch the Citadel in week 10. We caught Texas. Well, you caught Georgia in the national championship game, and that was a disaster for the viewers. I'm sure for Georgia fans it was great, but what a boring game was over by the second quarter. It is TexAgs Radio. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Here in the Rollo Insurance Studio, it is the Go Hour presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Maroon never looks so good with Maroon U. OB is with us every morning. Good morning, Olin.
Good morning. Good morning.
So
you're right about Sonny Dykes. He's a good guy and all,
I like him.
But that's more of a Big 12 thing, I think, that they're always spinning that. Hey, look who they play. And I'm sure with Texas and Oklahoma leaving, it makes the rest of that Big 12 conference members, even more sensitive about it. Oh, yeah, we don't have – yeah, but you get to play that level of competition quite often. You play it early.
Yep.
But to make that kind of statement that would question what everybody knows is that the strongest conference in college football is the SEC. And to make that statement is really pretty asinine. And then you go out and get your asinine ass handed to you.
It was embarrassing. And look, by the way, congratulations on a wonderful season. We'd gladly trade places with TCU, the kind of year that they had, 13-1, and they beat Michigan, and again, that people thought they were going to get mopped. So congratulations on all that. But I think I told you, my brother-in-law went to Texas, and we had this discussion. He was actually wondering, why the heck would Texas go to the SEC? His thinking is, like, it's the easiest path to the playoffs if you would have stayed in the SEC, because eventually you're going to win 11 games and get there. And why would you go? But he also
said the same thing about A&M.
Yeah, but it worked out better for A&M. I think it was the right move. But then he was also talking about, and I just don't know how deep the SEC is. And in my opinion, Mississippi State can win the Big 12. Maybe not this year. TCU was pretty darn good, but I think Ole Miss has a chance to win the Big 12. I think Arkansas would have a chance to win the Big 12. I think the SEC West, pretty much all the teams, minus maybe Auburn this year and obviously A&M this year, would have a chance to win the Big 12. It would be competitive or more than what we saw from Texas and Oklahoma and yada, yada, yada.
Well, I think what you're saying is if you take what those teams typically are, sometimes you have the really great season, like when Mississippi State was number one in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you have the really bad season like A&M and Auburn. But if you'll throw the absolute best out and the absolute worst out and just say, all right, what are those teams typically?
Yeah.
Yes, those teams all would be championship contenders in the Big 12.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
Yeah. And I think, so we put up the numbers. I just tweeted it out a minute ago. In the two top SEC teams that took on top Big 12 teams, okay? I know there were other bowl games. Alabama and Georgia. You could say LSU, but LSU played, who was it, Purdue?
Yes, Purdue.
Okay, and they destroyed them.
Yeah.
But the top two Big 12 teams versus the top two-ish SEC teams. The SEC outscored the Big 12 with Alabama and Georgia combined 110-27 over K-State and TCU.
I know it wasn't a Big 12 team, but didn't Tennessee run away from somebody too?
Clemson.
Yeah. I mean, yes, Ole Miss didn't show up and lost to Texas Tech. But I think other than Texas Tech beating Ole Miss and TCU winning that first game in the playoff against Michigan, the Big 12 didn't win another game, another bowl game. Now, Kansas made it interesting against Arkansas, or Arkansas allowed Kansas to make it interesting, but they went 2-6 or 2-7 in postseason games.
You asked me, and it was more sports talk radio question that we can kind of discuss here on the program. And by the way, you can text us on the AMB text line, 979-693-1150, AMB, a College Station branch of the Amarillo National Bank, Good Texas Banking. The website is amb.com. Or you can call us up at 979-693-1150. You asked me this question: can Kirby catch Saban? And more for discussion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Saban's got 7 national championships. Kirby is what, 40?
2. He's 47 years old.
47, and he's got 2.
Yeah, and the smart money on that would say, of course not. I mean, he'd have to win 5 more national championships, and Nick Saban would have to win none.
Right.
Nick Saban is, even though he seems invincible, he has to be nearing the end of his career. He's 70-something. But is it completely out of the realm of possibility when you consider the way Georgia's rolling, and they're the only really major, Georgia Tech's there, right, but the only real major football program in a state that's just overflowing. People talk about LSU. Well, it's really kind of the same thing in Georgia, except they have more players, I think, that come out of Georgia.
Right.
So I would say no, he's not going to win 7 national championships, but would I bet money on it? Probably not, because he's so young and there's so much talent in Georgia and he's got it rolling. And would you be – I don't even know, haven't even looked what everybody's going to have come back next year. You shouldn't even look until after everybody gets into the, declares for the draft and whatnot. But would you be surprised if Georgia's a national championship contender next year?
No, of course not. They're going to be ranked number 1.
I don't know. They might be. I don't know. Maybe it'll be Ohio. I don't know. But I think they're going to be a contender.
So I'm looking at the list of coaches with more than 2 national championships. According to this list, Walter Camp with 3, Howard Jones with 3, John McKay with 4, Frank Leahy with 4, Woody Hayes with 5, Bernie Bierman with 5, Bear Bryant with 6, and obviously Nick Saban with 7.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot harder, though, now.
Yep.
Because a lot of those guys were voted champions.
So I remember, when was it, 2 years ago, this same kind of question came up with Patrick Mahomes. Mm-hmm. Can he catch Tom Brady?
And when I brought that up to Charean, it was if the Chiefs won that Super Bowl.
Oh, so you brought it up on this show with Charean.
Yeah, with Charean. And I said, if the Chiefs win, do you think that
I wasn't here
Mahomes,
at that time, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Was I here for that?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who was in the Super Bowl last year?
Last year?
Yeah.
The Bengals and the
Rams. Yeah, I wasn't here for it. That was my first Super Bowl with you.
So I brought it up with her one time, and I said, but it was if the Chiefs win, because that would have given Mahomes 2 at the age of like 25.
Right, and that would have been in his first 3 or 4 years in the league.
Yeah,
right. And I still think no. That, by the way, anything is possible. Like the way Kirby's winning, but I would say no, because there's going to be another team that steps up. So hopefully it's one right here in town. So we can discuss that here. I know there's some people that are celebrating the loss. TCU's lost here. Dave and Edmund are already one of the first ones to text the show, so I see that, buddy. 979-693-1150. Let's go around and say hello to the people. Behind the glass is a gentleman by the name of Nick Savage. Nick, good morning, sir.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
What's up?
I'm pretty disappointed in that game last night, as I think we all are. You always hope for the best possible game in the national championship, but it is what it is. But kind of bouncing off what y'all were saying a second ago, our good friend Peter Burns tweeted this morning, the SEC played the Big 12 champion, Kansas State, Big 12 runner-up, TCU, Big 10 runner-up, I guess Iowa he's referring to, or excuse me, Purdue, and then the ACC champion, Clemson. 4-0 and outscored them 204-48. So, yeah, just absolute
Georgia alone
domination,
outscored those teams.
Yes. Again, I've heard it so many times, usually from folks over in Austin, about it's just one team. Everybody in the SEC's just been propped up by Alabama, even though they've had. In the last 3 different national champions?
In the last how many years?
5 years.
Yeah.
Since 2019.
Yep.
And then Auburn's won 1 in not too distant future past. So, A&M finished 4th when I don't think A&M would have won it in 2020.
When did the SEC dominance begin?
2006. Ohio State was number 1. Everyone anticipated that Ohio State would win, and they had Troy Smith as the Heisman Trophy quarterback. They went to play Florida, quarterbacked by Chris Leak, not Tim Tebow.
That's right.
And Florida, with their pass rush, just absolutely obliterated Ohio State. Ohio State returned to opening kickoff. I was there for a touchdown. And you're like, okay, here it goes. And then Florida was almost as dominant the rest of that game as Georgia was last night. And I think Troy Smith passed for like 80 yards that game.
Yep.
Because he was just sacked constantly. The tackles were so overmatched. I mean, more than I've ever seen by the pass rush of of Florida.
And since then, so you got Florida, you had LSU with Saban, you had Alabama with Saban, you had LSU, the Joe Burrow year, and now Georgia.
And Auburn.
Oh, yeah, sorry. That's right, Auburn. Mm-hmm. Auburn as well. So that is dominance. And it's
Tennessee,
not just
you have to go all the way back to 97.
Yeah, that was before this era of dominance, right?
But since Texas won it in 2005, and since then, it's been who's won it besides Clemson? I think Ohio State's won it, and then has anybody else besides Clemson, Ohio State, and an SEC team won it since 2007?
I don't think so.
I can't think. There might have been somebody I'm missing, but I can't think of it right off the top of my head.
Florida State
with Jimbo Fisher when they won with about 7 seconds left to beat Auburn.
That's right. Florida State. Thank you. That should have been the first one I thought of. By the way, I really enjoy watching Brock Bowers. That guy, he is a man.
Yeah, I wish the Cowboys would be able to draft him in 2024. But
look at those numbers: 7 catches, 152 yards, 1 touchdown. It seemed like any time they needed they didn't need much, but they would go to him when they needed something.
An athletic tight end lumbering tight end isn't going to do what he does, but an athletic tight end, that just gives you an idea of what can be done at that position because of the mismatches and things like that.
And it just shows how we talk about there's a different level of team. Like there's TCU good, and then there's Georgia good. There's a different level of tight end good, right? Yeah. And that is a different level of BA.
Yeah, he's really, really good. TCU, what a great year. And congratulations for them and everything. But I was kind of with you. I thought it was going to be a comfortable win. I didn't know it was going to be a complete, disaster for TCU last night. But the fact of the matter, they came from behind in the fourth quarter 4 times. They were miraculous. And at some point, you're going to go up against a Georgia defense, and that crap's not going to fly.
Right.
Right? And that's what happened.
So they went 15-0. Dominant performance, right? And I think last year's team is still better than this Georgia team.
I agree.
Who went 14-1. Now they lost to a pretty good Bama team, but just what an amazing run. Let's go to the News and Social Center. Kay Nagley joining us. Kay, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are y'all? It's been a minute since I've been here, so I'm glad to be back.
What's up?
Nothing much. I just got back from, a little holiday vacation, getting ready for school to start. But on the sports side of things, Texas A&M's Julius Marble was named the Southeastern Conference Men's Basketball Player of the Week on Monday for his strong victories over Florida and LSU last week, averaging 17 points and 7.5 rebounds in the Aggies' wins.
So we're gonna talk about him in the next segment when we do our Big Shot of the Week, and obviously he's our headliner for Big Shot of the Week. But I will give Buzz. I love to give Buzz his props when they're needed, and we've been critical of times with the way the team has played, but he finds guys that he can use in a certain way, and it kind of develops during the season. And when he finds it, he maximizes it. He maximized it with Q last year, and I guess short sample size, but the emergence of Julius Marble these last couple of games have really given A&M a different added element that I was not counting on 3 weeks ago.
That certainly seems to be the case.
Yeah.
He did have 17 points back-to-back games. Scored, got a lot of rebounds. But, I think one of the things that really set him apart in the last week was the defensive job he did helping to neutralize, playing a major factor in neutralizing Colin Castleton of Florida and then KJ Williams of LSU, two guys that were the focal points of their team's offense, and were not near as productive. And a big part of that was because Julius was kind of the point guy when it came to defending them.
Yeah, let's hit a break here. When we come back, we'll do the big shot of the week. Charean Williams is going to be joining us around 8:35 or so. Let's talk Fargos Pit BBQ and talk to my guy over here who's kind of like a brainiac when it comes to their specials. OB, It is Tuesday. Put your Rain Man hat on. What do they have for specials today?
Well, first of all, they have rib tips.
Yep.
On Tuesdays.
Once they're gone, they're gone.
Once they're gone, they're gone.
And are they pretty darn good?
They're life changing.
Yeah.
They really are. They're meat candy.
So one of the top 50 barbecue joints in the world, that's according to Texas Monthly, is Fargos. I'm going to go and say top. How about that? We're just going to do it right here on the show. Top barbecue joint to go visit, especially here. The specials sell out quickly. So when you do, what you should do is call up, and they're going to take very good care of you when you call them up early.
And the fellers.
Belinda and the Maurice.
And the fellers.
And the fellers, as I said yesterday. You call them up. They're going to take wonderful care of you. You've got Alan there as well. Tomorrow, they've got the chopped beef on a baked potato, also beef ribs. Those are delicious as well. They've been around for about 22 years, football weekends, basketball weekends, you name it. We'll have to wait a little while for college football, but we still got the NFL going on. If you're having a little playoff get-together, have them come by your place and hook it up. 1701 South Texas Avenue in Bryan. Without a doubt, the best barbecue in town. That's their trademark because it's true. It is Fargos.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. The Brazos Valley Beekeepers meet on the third Tuesday of every month in the auditorium of the Silver Campus of Bryan High School. Meetings start at 6 p.m. The public is welcome and meetings are free. Al-Anon is a mutual support program for people whose lives have been affected by someone else's drinking. Join them Sundays at 7:30 p.m. at A&M United Methodist Church. SARC offers free and confidential services to anyone affected by sexual assault in the Brazos Valley. If you or someone you know is in need, call 979-731-1000. The National Alliance on Mental Illness Brazos Valley offers 4 support groups to meet in a hybrid fashion, with some individuals joining online and others at the NAMI Brazos Valley office. Find out more about NAMI's programs at namibv.org. Listen to the Louis Molina Show to win your copy of the Houston Astros World Series film DVD from Shout Factory. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on the Zone.
Hey, if you're tired of chronic joint pain, knee pain, shoulder pain in your hips or back, listen, I've got exciting news for you, and my mom needs to hear this as well. Hey, it's David Nuño. You don't have to go through another year in pain. Next generation pain management has arrived here. It's QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in cutting-edge regenerative medicine. Regenerative medicine is amazing. It's an all-natural process that uses highly concentrated healing properties from your own body, putting them directly into your achy joints to restore and repair that damaged tissue. I'm talking about lasting pain relief with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. Pro athletes have been doing this for years. Now you can too. QC Kinetics has got 100 clinics in America, and now they're here with regenerative solutions to get you moving again this year pain-free. If you're sick of living with pain from arthritis or injury, call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics for a free consultation. 979-452-6000. That's QC Kinetics, 979-452-6000. That's 979-452-6000.
I studied Spanish in college and never got fluent. But then I tried Babbel.
Want the most effective way to learn another language? In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel's bite-sized lessons will have you learning another language in as little as 3 weeks.
Babbel gets you speaking quickly about things you actually talk about in the real world.
University studies have shown that using Babbel for 15 hours is equivalent to a semester of college Spanish. If you want to learn a new language, there's no better way than Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try Babbel for free. That's Babbel.com.
Hi, popular sports talk host Chip Howard reminding you I'm back on the air most days from 4 to 6. It's my favorite time of year with college basketball. And, you know, there's college basketball. And, well, there's lots of things to be excited about. Recruiting. You know, I'll be all over that just as soon as I figure out when signing day is. And I'll provide the same great commentary and analysis you've come to expect over the years. 3 days a week, 3 weeks a month, 8 months a year, right here on The Zone.
TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. We do have some text messages to get into, but before we do that, let's do our big shots of the week. And the first one is Julius Marble, our SEC Offensive Player of the Week. What a performance this week. Both games against Florida and LSU, 34 points combined, 57, almost 58% shooting, 15 rebounds, 1 assist. The dude was balling, 17 points in each of those games.
Just, I hope it's a guy that's really emerging, and this is who he's going to be.
Yeah.
Not that he's going to score 17 points every game.
No.
But that, he's going to be a force. A major factor on the offensive end and defensive end for that matter. So hopefully that's who he is.
There was a part early in the season where I just wasn't I didn't know his game very well, and I just wasn't as comfortable. And now I need him out there all the time. Like, he's become that kind of player. Like, you feel his difference out on the floor.
Yeah, he's the guy that started his career at Michigan State, right? And like I said before, Tom Izzo's not going to take bad players. So here he is, and you kept waiting on it. Okay, well, what is he? Who is he? What's he going to do? And now we're getting a taste of what we think this guy is. And again, hopefully he's emerging, and this kind of player he's going to be for the rest of the season. And if it is, then A&M has a really good chance of having a strong run through the SEC.
Yep, yeah, no doubt about that. Also, let's throw in another big shot of the week, and this one's going to come from the game last night. I know we talked Brock Bowers earlier, but Stetson Bennett, I think his story is so cool. His game last night, 304 yards passing, 39 yards rushing, 6 total touchdowns. Was he the first guy since Vince Young to have multiple rushing touchdowns at the quarterback spot in a national championship game, I believe I heard yesterday? A guy that people couldn't wait to bench. He's going to leave Georgia, 2-time national champion, and not the reason they won, but a reason that they won.
Well, he was a major reason. He may not be but he was a major reason. Great story. Really, really good player. Done a lot of amazing things. It's funny. Georgia, in my lifetime, won 3 national championships. Stetson Bennett, who started came as a walk-on.
Yep.
2 of them. You know who was the quarterback of the other one?
Who's that?
A guy named Buck Bellew.
Buck Bellew.
You've heard of him, right?
Yeah, of course I have. Yeah,
of course you have. All he did, he probably has throw the most famous pass in Georgia history, and it was one of probably about less than 30 that he completed all year because his whole job was to turn around and get the ball to Herschel Walker.
Right.
The point is that Georgia, in its career, in my lifetime, won 3 national championships, and they've been with pretty obscure quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Even though they've had guys like Matthew Stafford, he didn't play, but the Justin Fields, Eason, the guy who was a big-time recruit. They've had big-time recruits, not Tony.
Oh, sorry.
Jacob
Eason, there you go.
Tony was in Illinois.
Yeah.
They've had these big-time quarterback recruits, but they've won championships with guys that were pretty obscure.
Yeah, it's a great look. People could not wait to bench him a year ago, and then he was a potential Heisman winner this year. And
it was supposed to be the guy from USC leading them.
Yeah,
who's the guy who's doing the world tour?
Was it
JT Daniels?
JT Daniels?
Yeah, thank you.
He's on a world tour,
or at least the tour in the whole United States.
Yeah, he is. Where's he at now?
I have no idea.
Rice.
That's right. He's right down the road. We should go watch him play.
Yeah.
Bet we can get some seats.
Well, if we just wait a minute, we'll probably watch him play here. He goes everywhere.
He does go. He's here. He's there. He's everywhere. Let's go back to Kay Nagley. Get some text messages in, Kay.
Yes, David Edmond says, Nuño, epic beatdown last night revealed Purple Baylor to be a fraud like I told you all week. He adds that the wonderful season everyone says they had is a fraud. Their wonderful season was Big 12 wins and complete Michigan meltdown. Their season is fake.
No. They went, 13-1?
Yep.
Don't discount that. Think about how PO'd you get when people say that A&M 2020 season. No, that didn't count. It was it was COVID. Like no one ever says, well, the Alabama national championship didn't count, right? Because of COVID. And they went 13-1. There's no other way to slice it. Give them credit for that. Now, were they overmatched last night? Heck yeah. But you can say, well, they got lucky against Michigan. Really? Because I saw guys making plays.
I saw pick sixes, plural.
And it wasn't like pick sixes where you threw it right at the guy. I mean, I saw some pick sixes where guys made great plays.
Look.
So no, I'm not going to I think the Purple Bagler moniker is hilarious, but no, those guys had a great year.
Alabama in 2020 beat Ohio State by
the same score,
28 points.
Yeah, the same score they beat A&M.
LSU beat Clemson by almost 20 points. Okay, not. So yes, while that was a historic blowout last night, they got there and they beat good teams on the way there. Maybe it was a Big 12 schedule, right? Maybe that's part of the reason they were undefeated. But then when they got to the stage, they did deliver at least one haymaker against Michigan. And if Ohio State plays, if Georgia plays Ohio State for a second straight week, I know that game was really close and Ohio State could have won it. How would that game have gone between Ohio State and TCU?
I think that here's what I think. I think Georgia was going to beat TCU no matter what. I think that Georgia was dominant every game when they were focused. And I believe, and Kirby Smart might tell me I was crazy, but I believe that you had a Georgia team that went into Ohio State just expecting to win and didn't get fully focused until the game was on the line.
Right.
And then they made the plays they had to make. And it was one of those cold slaps in the face, so you better get your stuff together. And they did.
They did.
And part of it is, you went, 3 or 4 weeks without playing, and then there's a big difference from, a week and a half or 2 weeks.
Let's try to get one more in, Kay.
Bosis from Katie says, can you discuss why we are not getting more kids from the portal for the needs of linebacker, O-line, wide receiver, and maybe another running back, as every school is more active than we are?
Well, how do you know that they're more active and other schools are just getting guys like the kid from Oklahoma State that's going to go play linebacker at USC?
Right.
Maybe you're just not getting them. Maybe people are looking at 5 and 7 and all the questions about A&M and the whole national deal about how Jimbo's overrated and A&M's this and A&M's that. And
you are competing with other schools and, by the way, other interests. If Mason Cobb wants to be in Los Angeles and play for that bad defense, okay, that's what he wants to do. I don't put it 100% on lack of effort. They've missed out on some guys. And they've got to step it up, by the way, but there's still time.
There's still a whole bunch of guys out there, and I think for the most part, since you've got Grimes, with the exception of linebacker, you're probably looking for depth.
Yeah.
And maybe that's part of it too. If I'm transferring, if I'm in the transfer portal, do I want to go somewhere that I'm going to be depth? Now, linebacker, that doesn't apply because you have a great chance to start. And Tony Grimes come in, he's going to start at corner. But you need a receiver, right?
Who are you going to start over?
Especially if Anais comes back.
Right.
And if he doesn't, are you better than Noah Thomas? Maybe, but I don't know.
By the way, Cam Dewberry yesterday tweeting at Anais Smith saying something to the effect of, I forget what it was, but something like, what's up, where you at? Something to that effect. Keep tweeting at him, guys. Let's make him stay.
Well, yeah, hopefully he stays, but whatever he decides to do for him is we support.
All right, let's do this. Let's hit a break. All right, right now we're talking about the Association of Former Students who have been around for about 140 years, and your financial gifts have empowered them to be here, to be there, to be everywhere. And basically what they do is take care of Aggies all around the globe. That's what they've been doing since day one, over 140 years, as I mentioned, with scholarships, student assistance programs, silver taps, rain day, class reunions, mustard tailgate, traveling Aggies. That is what the association does. If you stop and wonder the why, well, all you have to do is look in the mirror and look at yourself. That is why they've created IamTheWhy.com. It basically shows Aggie stories, a place where you can kind of go from story to story and just see different Aggies and their perspective and their lens. And you can also upload your story about your time at A&M and beyond. It is IamTheWhy.com. IamTheWhy.com is the website. Again, it's the Association of Former Students.
It's the one show in the world that talks Aggie football, Star Wars, and progressive overload at the gym. It's TexAgs Radio with Dave, Olin, and Billy here on The Zone.
Here's Brad Beard of Intercon.
When we started Intercon in early 1991, we were well aware that we would be competing with some companies that use unscrupulous techniques to make a quick sale, such as bait and switch, or 40% off if you commit today, or misleading incomplete quotes. Intercon's practice is to be completely honest and encourage prospective customers to talk to our former customers. We've encouraged customers to get multiple quotes. We are confident and proud of our value proposition for windows, glass, and solar screens. We never want anyone to rush into a decision they will regret in the future. Just remember, warranties are only as good as the people who provide them and are servicing the area when situations arise. This is our home and only marketplace, and we will protect our home turf. You've probably heard the saying, the buck stopped here, and that is with me, Brad Beard, president and co-owner of Intercon, LLC.
Whether you have new construction or an existing home, let the fine folks from Intercon help your home energy efficiency year-round. Call Brad Beard of Intercon today at 823-3639. That's 823-3639.
Brazos Running Company, located in Century Square, knows the right shoe makes all the difference. They are passionate about running and fitness and for finding the shoe that fits your stride and style. In addition to sought-after running shoe brands like On and Hoka, Brazos Running Company now carries Birkenstock shoes, and they are the only place in town to carry Vuori clothing, one of the hottest athletic wear brands in the country. So come shop Aggie-owned and operated Brazos Running Company in Century Square, below Star Cinema Grill in College Station.
Since 1957, Slovacek Sausage in Snook has been making the best tasting sausage in Texas from the same family recipe. Slovacek is the official sausage of Texas A&M Athletics. Whether it's from the grill to the family gathering or from the pit to the neighborhood party, serve the sausage voted best in the Brazos Valley. Serve Slovacek. Be sure to come in and check out their full-service meat market, relax on the front porch, or grab some fresh kolaches from their bakery on your way out. Slovacek Sausage, Highway 60 in Snook.
Howdy, this is Steve Bledsoe, fighting TexAgs class of '83, with some exciting news. Vera Bank is now open with our new full-service location on Highway 6 in College Station. With personal bankers, business bankers, Vera Bank has everything you need in one convenient location. Come see for yourself where genuine banking is waiting for you, and you can bank on it.
Visit verabank.com today. That's VERA bank.com. Vera Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Looking for the Zone prize rules? Would you like to apply for a job at the Zone? Or need a phone number or email for the Zone? Visit zone1150.com. Would you like to sign up for the Zone All Access newsletter? Looking for podcasts of TexAgs Radio, The Louie Molina Show, or Chip Howard? Or would you like to see the Zone's daily schedule? Visit zone1150.com. For more information, any questions, to contact us for everything and anything about the Zone, visit zone1150.com.
Hey, we're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Our Time, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Appreciate everybody listening in. Let's go straight to the hotline, talk to Pro Football Talk and our Hall of Famer and our good friend Charean Williams. Charean, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good. How are you guys doing today?
Doing wonderful. At what point did you stop paying attention to the game last night?
I watched to the end. It was funny. After about the first three possessions that Georgia had, it was obvious that TCU wasn't going to stop them. And I said, well, I'd said before the game they may hang 60 on them. And then after the first three possessions, I said, holy cow, they may hang 70 on them. And if they hadn't taken a knee at the end, I think they would have hung 70 on them. I mean, that was just a dominant performance. I'm not sure anybody yesterday would have beaten Georgia. Alabama would have given them a really good game, I think. It would have come down to the end, the fourth quarter. Nobody would have beaten them the way they played yesterday, but it was obvious TCU was just overmatched, completely and totally overmatched. It makes you wonder, three results I have that I just wonder how in the world they happened, and that was Michigan blowing out Ohio State nearly beating Georgia, and TCU beating Michigan. Those just confound me how those three results happened.
Week to week, sometimes, like I said, I think Ohio State really just got Georgia's attention. I think they were just assuming they could run out there and win.
Yeah.
Georgia played better. I think it's just like, hey.
And Michigan.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, and frankly, I think Michigan overlooked TCU.
Mm-hmm.
I think Michigan thought they were going to be in the final. It was just going to be. And then when TCU beat Michigan, obviously Georgia then had to, in the way they played against Ohio State, they had to take TCU seriously. So I think a lot of that played into that game last night.
I think Georgia was we've talked about this earlier. I think Georgia this year was dominant in every game that they were focused.
no question.
Yep.
No question. No question. That Missouri game you saw, they let down, but they came back and won. And I think that's one game that they, in particular, that they weren't focused on that game. There's no doubt. I mean, we said it early in the season. They were the best team in college football. There was no doubt about that. It was Georgia and it was everybody else. And that became pretty obvious early in the year.
Talking to Charean Williams here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. All right, Charean, have you been paying attention to our little basketball team here, who seems to be playing the way we expected them to play, at least here to start the SEC?
Yeah, it's been fun. They've kind of gotten their thing together, I think. And the game over LSU the other night was really fun, really fun to watch. And it was sort of like last night's game. I didn't think it was ever in doubt. I just felt like they were going to win. They were the better team. And they did what they needed to do. So that was fun to watch, and I hope they keep this thing going because we need something positive, obviously, with the way the fall went with our sports. But it's been fun, and I think we're going to have a lot better spring this year than we did in the fall.
Well, let's hope so. And David was saying earlier that Buzz Williams has had a knack for figuring out how to use guys. It might take a little while, but when he does, he gets the best out of them. It seems that's what's happening with Julius Marble here and maybe some other guys. So I think when they play tomorrow night against Missouri, we'll get a better idea of just where these guys are going.
Yeah, I agree with you, OB. And I, there's been some injuries too, and I think when they get fully healthy, they're going to be even better than how they're playing right now. But I do think you could see the chemistry based on what we saw earlier in the year to where they are now. And I think they're playing more like the team that was ranked that we expected to see right now. So I'm excited about what we're going to see going forward with this team. And, it's fun to be excited about college basketball. It's been a while since we've had that, maybe a few years ago. 2020 with the women when they won the SEC title was probably the last time. So it's been a couple years since we've gotten to be excited about basketball, and I think it's time to be excited.
Charean, we obviously want to talk Cowboys. I'll let OB ask about that, but I'll just ask you about the team that's 90 miles down the road, the one that I covered for a long time. Fire Lovie Smith, which not unexpected. They win the game that they probably shouldn't have won, but how can you get mad at a team for trying to win a freaking game? Right? That's what you're supposed to do. But just sum up the Texans if you can, where they are now and where they might be headed.
Well, I think you just summed up like they win a game that cost them the number one overall draft pick, and that's kind of so Texanish. I mean, it's just they needed to lose that game to assure that they were going to get Bryce Young, which I know is who they want. And now there's a good possibility that's not going to happen. And the most hilarious thing is the Colts are sitting there needing a quarterback, and they could trade up to number one overall and jump the Texans, who the Texans beat on Sunday, jump the Texans and get the number one overall pick and end up with Bryce Young if that's who they want and leave the Texans for somebody else. So there's other good quarterbacks obviously sitting there, Will Levis and Stroud, that they could take, but I know that's who they want, and so now they won't have their pick. It'll be, whatever the quarterback isn't taken with the number one pick, or if Chicago, maybe they will. If Chicago sits there, they're probably not going to take quarterback. I tell you what, if I'm the Bears, I take a quarterback and get him on that rookie contract and trade Justin Fields. You can probably get a late first-round pick or second-round pick for him. That's what I would do if I'm the Bears. No. So there's a good chance whether they trade the pick or take a quarterback, the Texans are going to end up with probably not their choice, but with the second quarterback there. But, yeah, and now they've got to hire another coach. This will be the fourth head coach, not counting the interim, fourth head coach in 4 years. And who wants to go there under that scenario? I don't know. They do have a lot of cap room. They do have they're going to get their franchise quarterback with that number 2 overall pick. But if you're a head coach, do you want to go there? I don't know. That's a big question. I think they end up with D'Amico Ryans. I think the fan base would love that. They'll return and be excited about the future of this team if they go out and get D'Amico Ryans. And in my mind, that's probably why they made this decision, because if they want D'Amico Ryans, they need to get him this year. So I think they have D'Amico Ryans in mind as their next head coach. Are they the worst run organization in the NFL? Yeah, I think they are. Yeah, I don't even know if there's a second. I think they absolutely are. Yeah, it's just. Yeah, I mean, where do you start with the organization, with everything that's gone wrong with this team? And maybe they'll get it turned around, and maybe they'll find stability. But when you change coaches that much, at some point you recognize, OB, that it has nothing to do with the head coach. When you have 4 head coaches in 4 years, maybe it's not the head coach. Maybe there's something else wrong in the organization. I think we're seeing that with the Texans.
I just thought it was funny that there's not a second. You know, you're number one and there's not a second. You're kind of like you're kind of like Georgia on the other end. All right, Charean. So, is there any reason at all? Well, let me preface this. When was the last time that you thought the Dallas Cowboys played a good football game?
Good question.
Whew. It's been a while. Probably the second half of that, the fourth quarter, not even the second half. The fourth quarter of the Colts game.
But and the Colts gave that away too, because I can remember a play where the guy's going to get a first down and fumbles, and I think it goes for a return for a touchdown. So I'm not even sure if I'm going to call that a good game played by the Cowboys.
Yeah, if you want to go back to a full game, yeah, I think you go back to the Vikings game. Now, I thought they played pretty well in the Eagles game. So I might say that, but even then, Dak had the pick 6 early on, and with the Eagles playing a backup quarterback, that game was down to the wire. So probably a full game where you look at them and you say this is a Super Bowl contender, probably be the Vikings game.
So is there any reason to feel like A, that they're going to beat Tampa Bay, or B, have any real success in the playoffs?
Well, I am going to a game, and I am looking forward to going to a game, but, this could be a really bad playoff game. I mean, neither one of these teams is playing great right now, and you would think the Cowboys are the better team and are going to win this game, but Tom Brady's 7-0 against them, and they have home field advantage. And the Cowboys, by the way, as Jason Garrett pointed out on Sunday Night Football, are 1-4 on grass. They do not play well on grass. It takes away their speed on defense. And offense as well, but mainly on defense. They're not the same defense on grass, and that secondary's been banged up. So we could see Mike Evans have another 200-yard game like he did 2 weeks ago if the Cowboys aren't right on Monday night. But they just look totally uninterested in being there on Sunday. And I don't know why when you had something to play for when the game started. It was obvious early on that the Eagles were going to win, but when that game started, you thought you had a chance to win the NFC East, and they didn't show up. If they play like that Sunday, they're one and done, and you got to be thinking about a quarterback change despite the wins that you've had in the regular season over the last 2 years. You can't go out in the first round 2 years in a row in games that you were supposed to win. I still think they win, but if they don't, I think they have some serious questions to answer.
If they lose, does Mike McCarthy get replaced?
I think you seriously have to think about it.
Oh, I'm seriously thinking about it right now. But
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, and they've done something they haven't done since the 90s in the number of wins they've had in the regular season in a 2-year stretch. But to me, that's not enough. It doesn't matter what you do in the regular season if you can't move on in the postseason. If you're losing in the wild card round last year at home to the 49ers, and this year to a team with a losing record, regardless if Tom Brady's the quarterback of that team or not, then if I'm Jerry Jones, I seriously think about that. Now, everybody's going to say, we want Sean Payton. I've heard from a ton of Cowboys fans, we want Sean Payton. There's just this dislike of Mike McCarthy for whatever reason out there. But you're not going to get Sean Payton. The next head coach of the Cowboys is going to be Dan Quinn. So is Dan Quinn going to ultimately be better than what Mike McCarthy is? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but that is something Jerry's going to have to address and think about if they do go one and done again this year.
Charean, can you hold and we come back with you because we're about to hit a break and there's no way I can get the Aggies in the NFL this segment. So we'll come back and we'll finish out the hour with that, all right? Charean Williams there on hold. Pro Football Talk. We'll come back and get her Aggies in the NFL next on TexAgs Radio.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone. For more information about becoming a master gardener, Brazos County gardening best practices, or other gardening events, visit brazosmg.com. Mending Hearts is a local nonprofit that provides support for children, families, and individuals who are grieving the loss of a loved one. A variety of free support groups are available. Visit mendingheartsgriefcenter.org for more information. Every Thursday morning from 8 to 10, all veterans and family members of veterans are welcome for coffee and donuts at American Legion Post 159 on Highway 21. The Brazos Valley Coalition on Suicide Prevention's Suicide Loss Peer Support Group meets the second Friday of every month. For more information, email bvcosp@gmail.com. From the wild card round to the Super Bowl, you can hear the NFL playoffs from Westwood One right here on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM, thanks to Hungry Howie's. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Question: would you pick a chain barbecue place over a hometown joint? Do you root for East Coast universities instead of the local team? Nah, then why choose a big Wall Street bank? A&B started in 1892. 5 generations later, we're still owned and operated by the same Texas family. We support this community. We value your privacy. We make quick decisions, and we hate red tape. We answer to you, not Wall Street. Bank with A&B. Family owned, Texas proud. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
As a real estate agent in the Brazos Valley, we have a few questions for you. Do you desire to grow your business? Are you passionate about exceeding client expectations? Would you rather work with a local company backed by Compass, largest independent brokerage in America? What are you waiting for? Lone Star Realty Group, a strong local brand with instant recognition, awaits your move. Contact William Sears at LoneStarBCS.com. Your success is just a click away. Lone Star Realty. Experience, integrity, results, an equal opportunity employer.
Keyshawn Johnson, Jay Williams, and Max Kellerman.
Michael Jackson is the most famous person ever. Take it or shake it.
I can think of several people more famous than
More famous than Michael
Gandhi.
I'm taking Michael Jackson in 7 over Gandhi.
You think Michael Jackson is more famous than Gandhi?
No, I'm going with Gandhi.
Muhammad Ali is known all over the world.
But Muhammad Ali is famous. But Michael Jackson might be a tad
something about music,
bit, yeah, a little bit more, I think.
Yeah, music, something about music, it's true.
Muhammad Ali didn't do Thriller.
No, he did the Thriller in Manila. Jordan in Texas, you're on with Keyshawn, J. Will and Max, ESPN Radio.
I do agree, meaning Michael Jackson, but y'all are still wrong. Everybody's still wrong. The absolute most popular when it comes to across the world, 7 continents of all ages, is Ronald McDonald. If you show flashcards of Ronald McDonald...
Listen in to Key, J. Will, and Max, powered by WC Tractor from 5 to 8 on The Zone.
And we're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. We go back to the hotline where Charean Williams was going to give us the Aggies in the NFL, but we ran out of time, so we'll knock it out here in the last couple of minutes of the first hour of the show. So, Charean, who are you going to start with?
Well, and I'm also going to amend OB my answer on the Texans. I forgot briefly, I don't know how, Dan Snyder and the Commanders, so they're probably number 1. But Dan Snyder's going to sell, so that kind of has an asterisk on it. So if Dan Snyder sells, then it's back. My answer's back to the Texans. But I forgot. I don't know how I forgot Dan Snyder. He's easy to forget, I guess. Myles Garrett is going to be our honorable mention, 7 tackles, a sack. He finished up his season with 16 sacks. That's second, tied for second in the NFL behind Nick Bosa's 18.5. I do think Nick Bosa, we're voting on AP All-Pro and all the awards. I think Bosa ends up getting the Defensive Player of the Year award this year, but Myles is going to get some votes, and it'll be nice to see him finish probably in the top 3. Third this week, Randy Bullock. Field goals of 51, 39, 41, had a solid season. Titans didn't win that game. Jaguars did, so Titans are not moving on, but he had a really good game for the Titans, kept them in it. Number 2, Christian Kirk, 6 catches, 99 yards, and a touchdown the same game. He really validated that contract.
Got $1 million in bonuses.
Yeah, he sure did. A 1,000-yard season, really played well. Number 1, Dan Campbell. Last time the Lions had a winning record, 2017, 9-8 this year, a really outstanding year. He's going to get lots of votes for AP Coach of the Year and could win it. I think he's going to be in the top 2 probably of that, the way he's turned the Lions around. An organization that, when you talk about bad organizations, that's been one in football that's been a bad organization, and he came in there and really changed the culture and the way that team operates. I think they're really excited about 2023 after what they did this season and Sunday night against the Packers, having nothing to play for, and they come out and beat the Packers, who had everything to play for.
Shireen, David and I were talking yesterday or the day before about the roster of the Lions, and we said Aiden Hutchinson's a big-time player. Who else on that roster? He goes 9-8. Who else on that roster really jumps out at you?
Well, they got Sewell at right tackle, who's one of the best right tackles in football. But, Jared Goff played really well. I think they have their franchise quarterback, and now they have a top pick from the Rams in that trade that they made with Stafford going to the Rams and taking Goff. And they've certainly got some receivers that can play. But, to your point, he's done it with probably some talent. Kirby Joseph had a really good rookie season, but he's done it with some talent probably that's not as good as a lot of teams in the NFL.
Shireen, thank you so much. Talk to you next week.
Thank you, guys.
All right, OB. Let's close out the hour with a couple thoughts. Different tiers, man. Different tiers.
Just don't. If all you got to do to try to disrespect the level of play in the SEC is what they're gonna they play a cupcake late in the year. If that's all you got, you should just be quiet.
Hey, if you win the national championship game and you beat Georgia, then you can say that.
Maybe if you stay within 58 points, you can say that.
Yeah.
Just stay within 58 before you want to talk crap.
Thank you, OB.
You bet.
When we come back here on TexAgs Radio, we'll talk about those different tiers. We'll also talk, there was a question that came up of, why even have this game if this is going to be the kind of blowout you're going to get? We'll talk about that. Joni Taylor calling us up. Pat Henry stopping by at 9:35. Loaded 10 o'clock hour as well. You're listening to TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
You can hear the Paul Finebaum Show weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone. Presented by Polaris Fund Center. Paul Finebaum is SEC Country, and Aggie Land is SEC Country too. Join Paul weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone. Polaris Fund Center, where you can get a $500 rebate on any 450 or 570 Model A TV, or $2,000 cash back on a Polaris XP1000. Polaris Fund Center, where they sell and service fun, not tractors. The voice of the SEC, and you can hear Paul Finebaum weekdays from 2 to 4 on the Zone.
Over 50,000 police officers are assaulted each year, leading to injuries and death. They know that if someone doesn't lawfully comply or resists, force may have to be used to obtain compliance. Nobody likes it, especially police. Help police by not escalating. Don't attack or try to disarm an officer. Don't argue, resist, or flee. After the encounter has been resolved is the time to address any complaints. Comply now, complain later. Keep everybody safe. This message brought to you by the National Police Association. Learn more at nationalpolice.org.
You can listen to your favorite shows, Louie, Chip, TexAgs, or Paul Finebaum online at RadioAggieland.com or Zone1150.com. This is KZ&E College Station Bryan, Aggieland's home for sports.
WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on the Zone. Bryan ISD school board members have the recommendations of a 30-member committee that has worked since last September on changing boundaries of elementary and intermediate schools. The BISD board is scheduled to take final action a week from tonight. One of 3 community members on the committee who is not a former board member was Pastor Sam Hill. He was among speakers during a board workshop yesterday.
I will be a staunch defender of what went on to make these boundaries.
Hill brought up everyone had an opportunity to provide their opinion.
I'm sure not everybody will be satisfied. I pastor a church. Nobody's ever satisfied.
Yesterday's BISD board presentation and more comments are at WTAW.com. A Bryan man appeared in Brazos County District Court last week where he admitted to striking a woman with a jar or his hand 2 years ago. A plea agreement with prosecutors sentences 21-year-old Detarian Mathis to 2 years for family violence assault with a prior conviction. The maximum punishment was 10 years. Mathis gave up his right to appeal the conviction and sentence. TxDOT is conducting a statewide bicycle analysis over the next year. Spokesman Bob Caldwell says the Bryan District Office is one of 4 pilot district bike plans.
The district bike plans will analyze needs on the highway system, prioritize routes, and identify potential improvements through technical studies, stakeholder engagement, and virtual public meetings.
Caldwell says citizens can submit feedback now through an online survey, and public meetings will begin this spring. You can find a link to the online survey at WTAW.com. Tomorrow is the first day that nonprofit agencies around the Brazos Valley can start applying for the next cycle of United Way of the Brazos Valley Community Impact Grants.
The funding is for a 2-year period. The deadline for that application is going to be February 11th at 5 p.m.
Interim President Peggy Goss says more information is on their website at uwbv.org. More news at WTAW.com. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Does your bank know your first name? At Normangee State Bank, they do. Normangee State Bank is locally owned, controlled, and operated. This local personal touch means banking decisions are made on site the same day you request it. Normangee State makes banking easy. They're open Saturdays, offer state-of-the-art online banking, bill paying, fund transfers, check and statement images. Normangee State, where customer service is their priority. Normangee State Bank, rock solid. Member FDIC.
If you have a debit card, you're used to spending money. But what if your card actually ended up earning you money? That's not exactly normal, but that's what you can get at A&B. It's called Kasasa Cashback Checking. Don't mind the weird name. What you need to know is that it's a free account with cash rewards. Use your debit card for everyday purchases, and we'll pay you cash back every month. If that doesn't sound like normal banking, well, guess what? We're not a normal bank. So contact A&B today and ask for Kasasa or visit ANB.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Good morning, sports fans. I'm Zach Taylor with your Aggie Sports Minute on The Zone. This Sports Minute is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click HilcoSupply.com. Texas A&M tight end Max Wright has announced he will be returning for a 5th season. Wright played in 8 games for the Aggies last year, recording career highs with 9 catches for 129 yards and a touchdown. He was forced to sit out the final 2 games after suffering an injury against Auburn on November 12th. Out on the court, A&M forward Julius Marble has been named the SEC Men's Basketball Player of the Week after helping lead the Aggies to wins over Florida and LSU. Marble, a junior transfer from Michigan State, scored 17 points in the victory over the Gators and 17 more in the win over the Tigers. Marble on his recent success.
Teammates help out a lot, setting things up. Wade was amazing tonight. He was always looking for me on the rolls or down the court, so that kind of helped out a little bit. And, you know, if I'm in the right position, guys understand that, you know, if I've got a guy deep seal, they could throw it to me and I'll, you know, make a good play or, you know, score.
Julius and the guys have now won 4 straight and sit at 2-0 in SEC play. They'll be back in action tomorrow when they host number 20 Missouri at Reed Arena. Now, on the women's side of the court, the Aggies are mired in a 5-game slump. They'll try to get out of it this Thursday when they welcome Tennessee to town. To get Coach Joni Taylor's take, tune into her coach's show tonight from 6 to 7 right here on The Zone. And that's been your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On The Zone, I'm Zach Taylor.
Start your sports day with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, powered by WC Tractor. Weekday mornings from 5 to 8 on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Or just tell your smart speaker to play Zone 1150. WC Tractor is your local award-winning Kubota and New Holland dealer. Call them with your questions at 1-888-8-TRACTOR. That's 1-888-8-TRACTOR. Or check them out online at WCTractor.com. Rise and shine. Weekday mornings from 5 to 8 with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max from ESPN Radio. Powered by WC Tractor. Here on The Zone.
Little Run D&C for you. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Roller Insurance Studio. It is not the go hour. It is the fun hour. It's the 9 o'clock hour. A lot of Kay Nagley, David Nuño, Nick Savage talk. Actually, we have a pretty fun hour planned for you. Got Joni Taylor calling up. It has not been a fun run for the Aggie women's basketball team. They got to get healthy. Their defense is pretty salty. We can talk a little bit about that with Joni. We will also talk to Coach Pat Henry for making his first stop here to the show in 2023. And it's been a while since we talked to Coach Henry, so looking forward to talking to him. All of that is going to be happening during the 9 o'clock hour. Then John Puglisi to start off the 10 o'clock hour, and Pete Futek from College Football News to finish it all off. So I've had a lot of people, and look, what TCU did yesterday was embarrassing for them. They still made it to the national championship game. And I know there's many of you that say they shouldn't even be there. They played in the Big 12 and yada, yada, yada. I get all that. But the way college football is set up right now, they earn their right to be there. And I did misspeak earlier saying that they were undefeated. No, obviously they lost in the Big 12 championship game to K-State. But their resume was impressive. If you just want to base it on completely, who did they beat, yada, yada, yada. Okay, I understand that. They were a good enough team to be considered for the dance, and they got in the dance, and they won a big game, right? They absolutely. So there are different tiers, though, when it comes to college football. And we know that because there's the SEC and everybody else, right? Like, that's not a surprise to anybody. And every once in a while, you'll have a Big Ten team or an ACC team like Clemson kind of show up and be like, wait, we got this year. But for the most part, it is Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Florida, right, over the last 20 years. Those teams have shown up and made such a difference. But what TCU did this year, and again, like when you look at the different tiers and how teams got there, you don't just throw away what we have right now. They're going to expand, and you're going to find more blowouts. You're going to have closer games. But this particular playoff in particular, right, you've got a Michigan blowout of Ohio State. I think when you look at all the teams in the country, Michigan was one of the deserving teams to get into the playoffs. Ohio State was deserving based on how things played out, although Alabama, I think most of us were hoping they wouldn't get in. They could have easily gotten in and done great, but they had too many losses on their resume. Ohio State had that one. They ended up with the 2, but they had that one entering. It was a bad one to Michigan. But you have Michigan blowing out Ohio State. But then in the playoffs, Ohio State was the better team against Georgia for most of that game. They had that game. Georgia ends up winning, but they had it. So how do you explain that? Like the dominance of Georgia. So Georgia barely beats Ohio State, who gets blown out by Michigan, who loses to TCU. See how all those things so that's why when we're talking about this and we try to figure out who are the worthy teams, who are not? Does it even mean anything? Why is TCU in it? That is why, it's a matchups thing, and it is a dominance thing. In Georgia, when they want to be dominant, which pretty much when you go undefeated, you are dominant, even though there was that Missouri game. Even if they lost that Missouri game, they're in the national championship game, they're still winning. But they won that game. When they want to turn it on, there is a different level. So when you look at the teams in college football, it is Georgia, obviously, here. And no, do I think if TCU played an SEC schedule, they would have been in the national championship game? No. But they're in their conference. They did what they had to do, and they got invited. And then they got embarrassed in the national championship game. And they did. Georgia did whatever they wanted. Whatever they dominated the line of scrimmage. There's a different tier. So when you look at what tier is A&M in? Well, they're in the 5 and 7 tier. They're not in the conversation right now. We all know that there should be enough talent and some hopeful growth that they'll be in a different conversation next year. But just for 2022, there's Georgia. And I even think Alabama, who had 2 losses this year, I don't think Alabama was that good. I don't. Much better than what A&M was, but I don't think they were that good. Ole Miss, who was so dominant early on, lose 5 of 6? There are different levels of tiers. And in this particular year or these last 24 months, it's been all about Georgia. It has been all about Georgia, with Bama knocking at the door, Ohio State knocking at the door, TCU, I don't want to say squeaking by, but having some major comebacks in games to get where they were. Do I think that they are one of the 4 best teams in the country? Well, when it's all said and done, you got Georgia number 1. I think Ohio State number 2. I haven't even looked at the AP poll, but just the David Nuño poll. Nick, help me out here. We got Ohio State 1, Georgia 2. Does Alabama go 3?
I don't think so.
Michigan 4, TCU 5?
Yeah, I would be all right with that. I do have the actual AP poll up right now if you do want to know what the rankings are. So the final rankings, Georgia first, obviously. TCU remains second.
That's terrible. They can't be second.
Michigan is third. Ohio State is fourth. Bama fifth. Tennessee sixth.
Yeah.
That's the final rankings.
Who was sixth, I'm sorry?
Tennessee.
Yeah, I disagree. Oh, I mean, I don't mind Tennessee being there. I'm just saying I disagree with TCU being number 2 after what we just saw.
Yeah.
I understand you get invited to the national championship. You earn your way to the national championship game. But they fell. They got embarrassed, and you can't put them below Michigan. Even though I probably would. Like my eyes tell me, even though Michigan lost that game, but I understand having them above Michigan. I think Michigan's a better team, even though TCU beat them. Right? Like, do we all agree that even though Appalachian State beat A&M, A&M's a better team than Appalachian State? Can we all agree, Kay? Everybody? Yes or no?
That's fair.
Okay. So you can lose a game and still be the better team. It has happened before. So to me, you absolutely, there's no question for one. And I think Ohio State, as close as they came to beating, and I know Michigan's thinking, but wait, we beat Ohio State. I still think you play Ohio State, Michigan more times. And I know it wasn't even close, but I still think Ohio State's a better team. Or maybe that's just now it's a hard matchup for Ohio State. But I still say Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, Michigan 3 or Bama 3, right? Michigan because they got invited. Bama 4, TCU 5. That's how I do it. And then Tennessee 6.
It almost just doesn't matter because Georgia is just was so much better than everyone else this year. So it's just irrelevant after one.
And really, they were more dominant last year. They were more dominant last year, even with a loss, than this year's Georgia team. But this Georgia's team was pretty darn close. If you want to be a part of the conversation, you can do it at 979-693-1150. That is our hotline number. You can text us on the A&B text line, 979-693-1150. We go back to Kay Nagley there at the News and the Social Center.
Rob from Dudley's.
That was a loud one.
Sorry,
I liked it.
My finger messed it up. Whatever. Rob from Dudley's Draw says, "Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Quick question: is this loss going to influence the football committee on who gets into the playoffs?"
We'd have to talk to the football committee. I don't know. Some people yes, some people no. How about this? Did A&M not getting into the NCAA tournament? Maybe that'll influence them this year. I hope, right? Like. Sure, there are certain people that will be influenced and certain people that won't. It's too hard to tell. But, I know many of you don't want TCU in it because it's the Big 12 and they're not relevant. But who do you put over do you put Bama over them? Like, if you could redo it today, does TCU not get in? No, of course they still get in, even though they got embarrassed. Nick, am I wrong here?
No, I mean, the committee definitely got the 4 teams right initially. But, I mean, going to that text, Kirk Herbstreit kind of had he was making that point during the broadcast last night. He was saying, a big TCU loss like this can form a narrative that impacts who the committee selects going forward. You know what I mean? So, there's always this SEC is the big baddie, so they'll always get 1 to 2 teams in, Big Ten will always seem to get one team in because they're probably the second best conference, and outside of them, it's just like, well, the Pac-12 made it to one national championship game and hasn't done anything since. The Big 12 finally won a game in the playoff, but they get to the championship and get absolutely embarrassed. So, obviously that narrative is going to be formed. I think it just got maybe even more solidified last night.
Well, I'll be interested to see what happens now that the Big 12, I think, is going to be watered down. Regardless of what you think of Texas and OU, with them leaving the Big 12.
Absolutely.
Cincinnati.
It's a completely different conference.
Houston, so TCU, by the way, they're going to have to do what they did again and, even be more impressive because when that conference does change, it still won't.
Their schedule's got to look like Georgia's this year if they want any shot and not lose their conference championship game if they want any shot to get back into the playoff when Texas and Oklahoma do leave, in my opinion at least.
Gabe is asking a question on the YouTube chat. Nuño, if we did, let's see if I can, it just scrolled out of my view. If we did not hire Petrino, would you go after Kingsbury since he got fired? Well, it's already been announced that Petrino's the guy. But that being said, I don't think, I don't know Cliff at all, but I don't think he's interested in going to be the OC at Texas A&M after being a head coach in the NFL. I know that Bill O'Brien did it, but he was more of a reclamation project, right? Like the way he wasn't getting another NFL job right away, and he could have been a coordinator in the NFL, but he chose to go join Nick Saban. So I don't think that Cliff is in that same category, right? And so that's just me. That's how I see it. I don't think he's thinking about that. He's going to get paid nicely. He doesn't have to go be a coordinator right now. He can go enjoy life, right? He can just go and party, do TV. Like he can, kind of like what we think Dan Mullen's going to do, unless he ends up getting that Alabama job if things change there. But I don't see, if Cliff Kingsbury was interested, I know that we have a special place for him here at Texas A&M, as we should. But I don't think Jimbo works like that. I think Jimbo's made his hire and move on. So, yeah, and Matt's saying that Petrino was announced to UNLV too. I don't think that's an option. I don't think that he's thinking of it. Again, I don't know Cliff. Billy does. Billy's never mentioned him as a possibility. So I don't believe it to be the case. I believe if you're Cliff Kingsbury, you don't need to go to Texas A&M to be their offensive coordinator. You're going to go enjoy life as maybe somebody else will give you a chance. Maybe you'll go be an OC at the NFL level, or you just go do TV for a little bit. That's how I see it. Okay, we'll go back to you. Kay Nagley at the News and Social Center.
David Temple says, with a lot of different thoughts, but he says Kirby better than Nick over time, maybe. Jimbo and company, Tennessee, Alabama, Florida, and LSU are all teams with staying power over time. None of those are Baylor, Green Baylor, Kansas, etc.
You have to understand me. Like I'm old, right? At least compared to the folks here, right? Like there won't be somebody better than Michael Jordan in my eyes. And I know there's newbies out there or younger cats that are like, look at LeBron, what he's done for 19, 20 years, and he's not better than Michael Jordan. I saw Michael Jordan play with my own eyes. I saw LeBron play with my own eyes. And to me, Michael's the greatest of all time. My opinion is not changing. LeBron would have to win 5 more championships. I don't know, whatever the number is. But he's not there right now. Right? He's just not. He's not better. Same thing right now for Nick Saban. Kirby can win 2, 3 more. Kirby's going to have to win more than Nick for me to be like, all right, I get it. To me, Nick's the GOAT. Nick did it at LSU, did it at Bama, and I don't know, maybe he could have done it with the Dolphins that he stuck around. I don't know. Year 1 was good, year 2 wasn't, but whatever. No, I don't. I mean, after winning 2 championships, is he in a different tier amongst his peers? Yeah. He has elevated himself beyond the group of national championship coaches and those on the tier of one or on the very near it. He's obviously above them. He has separated the pack from the pack. But Nick is so up high here that conversation ain't happening soon. It's just not. I don't believe it to be the case. I don't think it's going to happen. That's the way I see it. Let's talk a little Caprock Health System right now. Highly personalized emergency care. They also benefit from a very one-on-one, unique experience when you go there. They take such great care of you if you're in an emergency situation. And we all know the stress that goes with that when it comes to yourself or your loved ones. Like you want your loved one to be taken care of quickly. You want them to get in and out. And really the most important thing is get them pain-free. And that's what they want to do there at Caprock. If your stay needs to be longer, they're going to manage every element of your visit there. They have a very low patient-to-doctor-nurse ratio, which means they get to know you and your individual needs. They are 100% locally owned and operated in the Brazos Valley. And as I've mentioned in different ways, they put the patient first in every decision that they make because they want to make you feel better. You got Caprock Hospital in Bryan and Caprock 24-hour emergency center in College Station. They both have 0 wait time for emergency care, so you'll never have to sit in a crowded waiting room. It is Caprock Health System.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone. The Brazos Valley Beekeepers meet on the 3rd Tuesday of every month in the auditorium of the Silver Campus of Bryan High School. Meetings start at 6 p.m. The public is welcome and meetings are free. Al-Anon is a mutual support program for people whose lives have been affected by someone else's drinking. Join them Sundays at 7:30 p.m. at A&M United Methodist Church. SARC offers free and confidential services to anyone affected by sexual assault in the Brazos Valley. If you or someone you know is in need, call 979-731-1000. The National Alliance on Mental Illness Brazos Valley offers 4 support groups to meet in a hybrid fashion, with some individuals joining online and others at the NAMI Brazos Valley office. Find out more about NAMI's programs at namibv.org. Listen to the Louis Molina Show to win your copy of the Houston Astros World Series film DVD from Shout Factory. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Here's Brad Beard of Intercon.
If you have considered replacing the windows in your brick veneer home, you may have been told that it would be necessary to either remove the brick or tear up the inside of your window box. You need to know that Intercon replaces windows and brick every day, and we don't tear up anything except the window which is being removed. By installing windows every day, Intercon personnel have worked out methods which result in the replacement windows being at least as neat and effectively installed as your windows were when they were new. This means that Intercon can furnish and install replacement windows which exceed today's tighter standards for efficiency. They look and perform just as well as the best windows in brand new homes. Call Intercon or visit our showroom and we will furnish you customer references for homes you can look at and homeowners you probably know who can tell you that Intercon can solve your window problems without wrecking your home or your budget, just as we did theirs. Intercon will furnish a free quote and we won't pressure you to buy.
Whether you have new construction or an existing home, let the fine folks from Intercon help your home energy efficiency year-round. Call Brad Beard of Intercon today at 823-3639. That's 823-3639.
If you're looking for the best in the Brazos Valley, look no further than Cooper's Old Time Pit BBQ. Seasoned and cooked to perfection, cowboy style over mesquite coals. Cooper's Aggie Special includes your choice of chopped beef, sliced turkey, sausage, pork loin, or brisket on a buttered and toasted bun, paired with chips and a soft drink for only $12.99. Experience the taste of locally Aggie-owned, nationally recognized Cooper's Old Time Pit BBQ. Voted best barbecue in the Brazos Valley and proud supporter of Texas A&M athletics.
Hi, popular sports talk host Chip Howard reminding you I'm back on the air most days from 4 to 6. It's my favorite time of year with college basketball. And, you know, there's college basketball. And, well, there's lots of things to be excited about. Recruiting. You know I'll be all over that just as soon as I figure out when signing day is. And I'll provide the same great commentary and analysis you've come to expect over the years. 3 days a week, 3 weeks a month, 8 months a year, right here on The Zone.
Loving you isn't the right thing to do.
All right, let's talk a little Aggie women's basketball. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. We go straight to the hotline. We're joined by Joni Taylor. Joni, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I know it's been a difficult stretch for the team with SEC play. Just how are you feeling about things?
No, I'm actually really proud of our team and excited. Like that, obviously, our game results don't show that, but we knew we were going to be in a year of rebuilding, which is why our motto was becoming. You know, we're really young. We don't have any experience at all. And then you throw in the injuries we've had. We've got 5 players in street clothes on the bench, and we're playing with 7. So, you know, that's challenging. And so for us, the conversation is, how do you define success when it doesn't come in a win? And you look at the LSU game, and that score obviously was lopsided. But in the first quarter, the score was 6-8. That was the lowest point total LSU's had in the first quarter all year. That's a win for us. At halftime, they had 34 points. That's the lowest halftime score they've had all year. That was a win for us. And so it's us going into the game knowing those small victories are the things that we're looking to celebrate. How can we make teams go to plan B and not execute plan A? Can we do this defensively? Can we get to this number on offense? And that's the things that we're measuring right now because we know that it's going to be a process.
Joni, it sounds like to me, and I've heard you talk before, so I know your philosophy here, but like sand in an hourglass, while maybe from a 10-foot view, you're not really seeing it. But as you start, getting the sand to be on top of sand, after a while, that becomes wins.
No, absolutely. It's like, a lot of times people talk about like the journey, and it's not once you arrive, it's the journey of going through it. That's when you get stronger. That's when you get better. And then at some point you look up and you're there. And so that's where we're so process-oriented because it can be really easy with media, with social media, with coaches, parents, whatever, you want to fill in the blank with. People can talk about, well, oh, my God, you guys have lost 4 games in a row. You must be just miserable. No, we're not. We're getting better. Our 7 are fighting. They're in great spirits, and they are doing all they can and everything we ask. So our mood is great. We believe, and we understand that, again, those small victories is where we're measuring our progress. And so we're not caught up in, do we want to win? Yes, please don't misunderstand me. But we also understand and we knew going into this, and we prepared our team for that, and obviously tried to prepare everybody else as well. But I'm proud of how they've continued to fight and get better.
Also, look, I know this is set off, and it's not a takeaway line. I really think that the adversity that the team is going through this season will make them a better team in the long term.
It definitely will. The one thing that we always say is, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse, because staying the same is getting worse. And this team is definitely getting better. One of the areas that we needed to address when we first got here, and we talked about we were going to address, is just our toughness and our mindset. And what a great teacher this has been in those two areas. There's no better way to do that than for them to be literally thrown into the fire the way they have. And there are some times that we've seen them get challenged and fold. And as of late, we've gotten challenged and we bowed our back. And did we run out of gas? Did we get tired? Did shots not fall? Sure. But they're starting to learn how to fight, and they're starting to learn how to have some pride and play for each other and have some resiliency. And those were areas that we were really, really weak in when we first got here.
Joni, KK said after the game that the team didn't really have the legs right now because they were stretched so thin. I'm paraphrasing how she phrased it, but does that kind of change, or do you have to, leading up to the game, do you have to maybe lessen the load a little bit or give them a little mental break or physical break?
Yeah, we've done that for quite a while now because we've been with 7. Well, we were at 7, and then we had 8, and then we were back down to 7. So we've backed off quite a bit, and in some ways it hinders you because there's so many things we need to work on. There's so many, pace we need to work on. We need to work on getting up and down the floor, running our fast break. Well, we've totally scrapped that because with 7 players, it would be crazy of us as a staff to do that, knowing that they're going to have to play the bulk of the minutes, and if somebody gets in foul trouble, good Lord, and so, yes, we definitely have had to adjust how we practice, how long we practice, and if we practice at all. A perfect example, we play our hearts out at LSU. We play with pretty much 6 because we have some foul trouble there, so we play with 6 the whole second half. We get on the plane, we come home, it's 1:30 before we go to bed. And that Friday to Saturday for a Sunday game turnaround is tough. I mean, Sunday to Thursday gives you more time to rest them and have a normal practice, but we didn't practice at all on Friday. Did we need to practice? Yes. We came in, we stayed in the film room for about an hour and a half and watched some highlights of LSU and spent a lot of time, preparing mentally for Ole Miss. And then we went out on the floor and we walked through the tweaks on offense that we wanted to make and the tweaks on defense we wanted to make. They shot free throws and we sent them home. That's all we did on Friday. If we would have done anything more, then they would have looked more tired on Sunday. And part of that is because, to go back to what you're saying about KK's legs, they're playing so hard defensively, and they're having to do so much defensively to fly around and keep our opponents from getting their average and taking away our opponent's plan A, that, yes, their bodies aren't used to doing that and then having to play offensively. And so are their shots short? Are their legs short? Are they tired? Yeah, and that's something, too, to just continue to address. This offseason is preparing their bodies to be able to endure that type of play for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, however long it takes. And right now their bodies are just not prepared for that.
Let's talk a little defense. You mentioned it earlier, especially with the LSU game and whatnot, but even Ole Miss holding them to 57. Just how happy are you with that side of the game?
I'm extremely proud and pleased. When we first got here, and again, we talked about it several times, the style has been different, right? From what they were used to playing defensively, gap and zone, to us, smothering and wanting to take away stuff and be more man. And even now, we're not as up pressure as we would like to be because, again, we're trying to save our 7 so they can last, and not just last a game, but they've got to last for the entire conference play because we don't know when we're getting, we hope to get some players back soon, but we don't know that for sure. So my mind is not only on saving them to make it through a game, but saving them for the next game and the next game. And so what we've asked them to do defensively, they have really bought into. And as we continue to prep and just go from game to game, you can really see them starting to make some of those adjustments on their own, on the fly, in the game, but couldn't be more proud of how they have taken ownership on the defensive end.
We're talking to Joni Taylor here on TexAgs Radio. All right, Joni, Tennessee coming up. No rest for the weary, another quality opponent.
Oh, yeah, really, really good. Tennessee played a really tough non-conference schedule, so they've got some losses there that are not really indicative of who they are as a team, but you look at their conference schedule, they are undefeated. And they've got 3 players who average double figures. Kia Jackson, the transfer from Mississippi State, averages 22 points a game. Listen, 22 points a game in conference play, that's tough. And those are her conference stats. So she's 22 a game. And then you got Jordan Horston, who I feel like I've been watching for 6 years now. I'm like, is she still there? She's averaging 16 a game. And then they've got a sharpshooter. I call her a flamethrower because if it leaves her hands, it's going in. Number 21, Tess Darby. She's averaging 10 a game. She's an elite three-point shooter. So they stretch you with those 3, and they're just big. Their size is humongous. More so on the perimeter this year than in the paint, which is different for them. So we're going to have our hands full. We've got to move them around, get them away from the basket so we can have a chance. And we've got to free up our guards who are going to be challenged because Jordan Horston is 6'1", and Tess Darby is 6'1", and Kia Jackson is 6'2", and those are all guards. And KK's 5'7" on a good day with her heels on, and Mackenzie Green's 5'5", 5'6". So we've got tiny guards, and so we're going to be challenged, and we've got to do something to try to free them up where Tennessee's length doesn't affect our shot.
That is Joni Taylor. Joni, thank you so much. We'll talk to you very soon.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Joni Taylor there on the hotline. When we come back here, we're going to have Coach Pat Henry on the program. We haven't talked to Coach Henry in quite a while, so looking forward to catching up with him. But right now, we need caller number 1. We're going to give you a free car wash from Aggieland Express Car Wash in South College Station off of William D. Fitch in Greens Prairie. They're Aggie owned and operated with the friendliest staff and a personal touch. They offer a monthly membership, but we'll give the first caller a free car wash right now from Aggieland Express in South College Station. 979-693-1150.
You never know who might stop by TexAgs Radio. Jimbo, Schloss, Buzz, Ross. It's TexAgs Radio. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 11 on The Zone.
As a real estate agent in the Brazos Valley, we have a few questions for you. Do you desire to grow your business? Are you passionate about exceeding client expectations? Would you rather work with a local company backed by Compass, the largest independent brokerage in America? What are you waiting for? Lone Star Realty Group, a strong local brand with instant recognition, awaits your move. Contact William Sears at LoneStarBCS.com. Your success is just a click away. Lone Star Realty. Experience, integrity, results. An equal opportunity employer.
Since 1957, Slovacek Sausage in Snook has been making the best tasting sausage in Texas from the same family recipe. Slovacek is the official sausage of Texas A&M Athletics. Whether it's from the grill to the family gathering or from the pit to the neighborhood party, serve the sausage voted best in the Brazos Valley. Serve Slovacek. Be sure to come in and check out their full-service meat market, relax on the front porch, or grab some fresh kolaches from their bakery on your way out. Slovacek Sausage, Highway 60 in Snook.
Hey, if you're tired of chronic joint pain, knee pain, shoulder pain in your hips or back, listen, I've got exciting news for you, and my mom needs to hear this as well. Hey, it's David Nuño. You don't have to go through another year in pain. Next generation pain management has arrived here. It's QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in cutting-edge regenerative medicine. Regenerative medicine is amazing. It's an all-natural process that uses highly concentrated healing properties from your own body, putting them directly into your achy joints to restore and repair that damaged tissue. I'm talking about lasting pain relief with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. Pro athletes have been doing this for years. Now you can too. QC Kinetics has got 100 clinics in America, and now they're here with regenerative solutions to get you moving again this year pain-free. If you're sick of living with pain from arthritis or injury, call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics for a free consultation. 979-452-6000. That's QC Kinetics, 979-452-6000. That's 979-452-6000.
Have you heard?
Heard about what?
Have you heard about Hullabaloo Avenue?
Hullabaloo Avenue? What's that?
Hullabaloo Avenue is home to Aggieland's most diverse selection of officially licensed Texas Aggie gear. And right now they're having their biggest sale of the year with savings up to 40% off. Hullabaloo Avenue has something for the Aggie in your life. Fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, cousins, and friends too. Find deals on vintage Aggie clothing, Adidas ball caps and hats, t-shirts, collectibles, and more. All 40% off. Hullabaloo Avenue on George Bush across from Kyle Field. Look for the big green sign next to TexAgs.
What can you expect on the Louis Molina Show, presented by B&B Automotive and Superior Auto Service? Great question, Bob. Well, we talk a lot of Aggie football. We're fans of Aggie basketball, Aggie baseball, too. From time to time, we'll venture into the lifestyles portion. Sure, maybe it's not sports, but things in the life of every sports fan. We also love to take your text messages, great guests from around the country. That's what you can expect from the Louis Molina Show, presented by B&B Automotive and Superior Auto Service.
All right, we are back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Pat Henry is in studio. Hello, sir. How are you?
Good.
It's been a minute.
Good. Yeah, it's been a few months.
Yeah, happy to have you in here.
Well, good.
By the way, this is brought to you by Brazos Running Company, your local Aggie-owned specialty running store. Save 10% in store when you mention code TexAgs10, and check out the new location there at Century Square. You said you've been there. It's nice.
Yeah, no, he's got a great store. He's boy, when I was in there was a lot of people in there, so it's good to see him doing well. I'm happy for him.
Yeah, no, it's a great place, and we actually bought a Garmin watch for the boys from there not too long ago.
Good.
And, yeah, it's a great place. Indoor facility, things are changing across the street. Just to kind of give us a little update on what's going on.
Yeah, you know, we tore down the best facility in the United States, but you know, we are building a new one. And it's right where the old track stadium used to be. Mm-hmm. So it changes the way our throwing fields have to operate. So because we're doing that, we don't have a way to have an outdoor track meet. So we're stuck this year. We don't have an indoor meet, and we don't season. We don't have an outdoor season that has home meets here, mm-hmm. And that's tough. I mean, if you just think of any sport and say they don't have any home competitions, that's a tough year.
Yeah, and the athletes kind of get used to their home, right? Like I mean, it's beyond the crowd. It's like you understand the contour, everything.
Yeah, no, that's right. And when I have home meets, I have the opportunity to let some of those people that maybe not travel, don't make a travel squad. They aren't good enough yet to be able to compete. And if you have opportunities to compete, I think your times down the road, your ability to be on the team as we move forward become much greater because you had the opportunity to compete.
Yeah, can you expand on that too? Because I feel like what you do at practice is one thing, but when you know you're taking on somebody who's been working, no matter what level, you go somewhere and you go compete, it gets the best out of you.
Yeah, or you're unable to get the best out of yourself sometimes. There's great workout people that don't get it done on meet day, and you don't want people like that. You want people who rise to the occasion, have their best opportunity, or have their best efforts during a competition, and that happens.
Yeah, I got to imagine just the fact that you're traveling all season long. It's taxing beyond the atmosphere, but also there's the traveling. That takes a toll.
Yeah, and for us old people, it's really tough, you know, and you have to leave every week. Every week now we're on the road. And, that's tough. That's tough.
So you mentioned
it's happened before, though, when we first got here.
Oh, is that right?
When we first got here in 04, 05, back all the way up through 09, when we did get an indoor facility, our outdoor facility was such that we really couldn't have a track meet outdoors because we had no infrastructure. It was just an oval. So we didn't have any home meets for a number of years. But we still had good teams. We won the national championship during those years, too. So it can be done. It's just a little extra work.
A little extra work.
Yeah.
You mentioned the best across the street. So how's the new one going to stack up around the country?
I think it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm not as much involved in the overall venue as I was on our other facility. So, yeah, I hope things can work out. I hope it's going to be as good a facility as it was. It's going to be different than our last facility, so we'll see. And everybody's got to realize, too, once the football building went down, as well as the track building, if it's cold, you warm up indoors in the football building.
Mm-hmm.
You compete in the track building. Well, we're only building a track building. We don't have a football building to warm up. So if it's cold outside, we're in trouble. Mm-hmm. And so, we got to work through that, and hopefully in time some things will change, but we'll see.
Okay. Give me a little timeline. Where are we, and when do things really kick off?
Yeah, we get started this week. We travel to Arkansas for an indoor meet this week.
Wow.
So we've been back since the first day of this month, and we've been training, of course. We've been training all fall. So it's a long season coming to a point right now where we get to compete, and that's the way we're looking at it. We always look at it this way. Track's one of these sports, that we don't keep a cumulative record. You don't say, well, I won the 100 10 times. You don't do that. That's not important. It is important, but the important thing is that you're ready to go on a specific day to qualify to a national championship, and you are ready on that day to get the best out of yourself. And so our whole season comes down to just a little bit of time, you know. And our season is not about, there's a lot of, I think you saw last night, there's the opportunity for a team to get to an athlete to get to a national championship. The national championship is a different deal altogether. And to say that, you qualifying to a national championship is one thing. Being successful at the national championship is the other thing. And just because you qualify, whether it's by a team or by an individual, doesn't make any difference. It's about being able to do it when you're supposed to do it at the best of your ability. And that's the challenge for all athletes, every athlete,
Let's talk about some of your returners, Lamar Diston, who that name came up every week last year.
Yeah, Lamar is a great high jumper, one of the best we've seen in the NCAA in a number of years, and I think that she has the opportunity. I know she will. She's going to jump a little bit higher this year. She's going to be a 6'6", 6'7" high jumper, and people who know anything about our sport know 6'6", 6'7" is really, really good. So she's got great talent.
How about Leanna Davidson?
Yep, one of our javelin throwers.
Mm-hmm.
She was a freshman last year, and she's come a long way. I think it's for lots of them, and she's one. Just staying healthy, being ready to go when you're supposed to be ready to go is always the challenge. She did a pretty good job of doing that. She didn't overthrow herself. But when it got to the national championship, she wasn't really ready to excel at that meet.
Right.
She's a freshman. That's what you're learning to do.
I don't even know if you would know this by now, but do you expect to have Bryce Foster helping out this
spring?
Yeah. You do? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Bryce makes he comes to every practice. He comes to every meeting. He comes to we had a junior day this weekend, and we had about 80 juniors in to look at campus and look at the facility and meet our team. And of course, Bryce is very involved. Bryce is a great recruiter for Texas A&M University. And we had a panel of athletes that talked to that group of athletes, and he was one in that group. So Bryce is active.
He had a full slate this past year, and he's going to have another full slate. But do you see him growing?
But I think as you watch Bryce right now, I'm surprised at how mobile he is. He's done a really good job of rehabbing. Mm-hmm. He's not completely done, but he wants to try to throw in the outdoor season. Of course, he won't throw the indoor season, but he wants to try to throw in the outdoor season. So he's got some goals in front of him, and I think that prepares him for football. If you can get across that ring and be as ballistic as it takes to do that, that's going to prepare you for a lot of things.
One guy you will not have is Devon Achane, who's going to the NFL. Yeah. I'm sure you enjoyed your time with him. Such a great young man.
Yeah, Devon was fun to be around, a quiet guy who could do it when it counted. Mm-hmm. That's Devon. He's one of those that can step it up. When it's time to be at your absolute best, he can do it.
We were hoping he'd come back for one more year for you all and for football
everybody,
as well.
yeah.
But he's going to be a great NFL pro.
Yeah, I think so.
Talk to me a little bit about James Smith II.
James is an intermediate hurdler. He transferred in from Arizona. He's had 1 year at Arizona. Now this is his third year with us. His daddy's a coach in Arizona. He's really progressed in the last 6 or 8 months, probably more than I had seen in the last 2 years. I think he's preparing himself to be much better. His postures have changed real well. His strength levels have changed. So I think James has got to have an opportunity to do real. He scored at the national meet, and I don't think many people expected that. So James is also one of those guys that can compete when you're supposed to.
There's a couple names that I remember hearing quite a bit last year. Caitlin Fairchild.
Caitlin, again, a javelin thrower, and she and Leanna are both freshmen last year, both threw pretty close to the same distance at about right around 180. Both of them, I think, are both. Of course, they were freshmen. I think both of them are going to be much better again this year because they've learned exactly what we're talking about. This whole program is that it's about getting it done on that day.
Yeah. A couple freshmen I want to talk about. Cameron Dixon, a name that I read quite a bit last year. Did she participate in one of the meets here? Or am I wrong about that?
Yes, she did.
Okay.
New freshman. I don't talk too much about freshmen.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of give them breathing time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she's a talented young lady. It's good to have her in our mix.
And you got some transfers as well. Bryce McCrae, and is it Ahmad Robinson?
Ahmad and Bryce both are new. Bryce, his daddy was an athlete here at Texas A&M, a great one, an Olympian. And Bryce was at Georgia. He's a Texan, but he transferred back for right now. He's going to be a sophomore. He was at the national meet last year in the intermediate hurdles, and he was on there 4x4. So he has good talent. He's going to be a great addition for us. Ahmad Robinson is also a transfer from Stephen F. And Ahmad is a quarter miler who he can really run.
Yeah.
He's a great addition for our group. I think he's a midtermer right now. Both these guys come in at midterm. So knowing and trying to figure out what kind of shape they're in right now is my goal. Probably won't run McCrae indoors, just train. But Ahmad is a little more prepared right now. I think Ahmad's going to be able to run for us right away.
Is this the time of year that you're excited? Is it the time of year it's more stressful? What is this for you?
No, this is the time of year. It's really fun to get started. I'm tired of training, tired of workouts, and they are too. Mm-hmm. Like we've talked before, though, this is the first rehearsal. And that's the way I approach it with my team. Is that this is your first opportunity. This is the first rehearsal of a play that's going to end up being at the end of this indoor season. And it's all about getting a little bit better, trying to change, trying to stay healthy, doing what Coach wants you to do, and let's figure out how we're going to get better.
Coach Henry, we appreciate you, sir.
No, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I'm really sad that we're not going to be able to talk about having home contests, because that's we've gone back in time. But I think next year we'll be happy about this whole situation. It's not fun right now, but I think it's going to be great for us. Yeah. The completion date is December 23. Is when this building's supposed to be done. The roof and the sides are up, and boy, they got a lot of work going on underneath that roof. So it's fun to watch it happen.
Well, we can't wait to see it, and we can't wait for a great season, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. And our thanks to Brazos Running Company as well. We'll be back here in a few.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone. For more information about becoming a master gardener, Brazos County gardening best practices, or other gardening events, visit brazosmg.com. Mending Hearts is a local nonprofit that provides support for children, families, and individuals who are grieving the loss of a loved one. A variety of free support groups are available. Visit mendingheartsgriefcenter.org for more information. Every Thursday morning from 8 to 10, all veterans and family members of veterans are welcome for coffee and donuts at American Legion Post 159 on Highway 21. The Brazos Valley Coalition on Suicide Prevention's Suicide Loss Peer Support Group meets the second Friday of every month. For more information, email bvcost@gmail.com. From the wild card round to the Super Bowl, you can hear the NFL playoffs from Westwood One right here on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM, thanks to Hungry Howie's. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Here's Brad Beard of Intercon.
When we started Intercon in early 1991, we were well aware that we would be competing with some companies that use unscrupulous techniques to make a quick sale, such as bait and switch, or 40% off if you commit today, or misleading, incomplete quotes. Intercon's practice is to be completely honest and encourage prospective customers to talk to our former customers. We've encouraged customers to get multiple quotes. We are confident and proud of our value proposition for windows, glass, and solar screens. We never want anyone to rush into a decision they will regret in the future. Just remember, warranties are only as good as the people who provide them and are servicing the area when situations arise. This is our home and only marketplace, and we will protect our home turf. You've probably heard the saying, the buck stop here, and that is with me, Brad Beard, president and co-owner of Intercon LLC.
Whether you have new construction or an existing home, let the fine folks from Intercon help your home energy efficiency year-round. Call Brad Beard of Intercon today at 823-3639. That's 823-3639.
I studied Spanish in college and never got fluent. But then I tried Babbel.
Want the most effective way to learn another language? In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel's bite-sized lessons will have you learning another language in as little as 3 weeks.
Babbel gets you speaking quickly about things you actually talk about in the real world.
University studies have shown that using Babbel for 15 hours is equivalent to a semester of college Spanish. If you want to learn a new language, there's no better way than Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try Babbel for free. That's BABBEL.com.
Looking for podcasts of TexAgs Radio, The Louie Molina Show, or Chip Howard? Look inside the Pod Center at Zone1150.com. Don't miss a single rant, guest, or moment. You can download or subscribe to any and all of your favorite shows inside the Pod Center at Zone1150.com. There's also a special selection where you can find select interviews from David, Louie, and Chip. Look up Zone interviews inside the Pod Center at Zone1150.com. Download or subscribe, but don't miss out. Check out the Pod Center at Zone1150.com.
It is TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Whatever you do, do not go to the YouTube chat. Stay away from that. Some interesting dialogue going in there. And about, I don't know, I'm not going to even address it. It's kind of funny, but just stay away from it. It's funny, whenever I say, you know, my brother or somebody would tell me, whatever you do, don't do that. You absolutely end up doing it. I'm just telling you, don't go do it. Just don't go to the YouTube page right now. Unless you're going to go like, comment, and subscribe. That'd be great of you. You can certainly do that. Like, comment, and subscribe. Nick, when Coach Henry was talking about no home meets for them, it got me thinking, could you, like A&M already had a disastrous year. But can you imagine no home games this year?
That would be, I mean, for any of the big three sports, no home baseball games, no home basketball. Like, that's just a weird thought. And, you know, track and field, it's just a different world. And, you know, you can hear the disappointment that he doesn't get that, but, like, wait till next year when he's got a brand new facility, sparkly brand new. It's going to be awesome. So I'm sure everyone, the athletes, he's excited about it. We're excited about it. So it'd be cool to see. I wish I was smart enough to understand, like, construction and stuff, because I totally would get into, like, stadium construction and stuff, because that just interests me to no end for whatever reason.
Well, look, Nick, you're what, 25, 26 years old, right? You're 24?
23.
23, sorry. So you're a young cat. So I don't know if traveling takes a toll on you yet. I don't know at what age traveling takes a toll on you, but at some point when you travel, you get lethargic and tired.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right? Like, and I think it happened, but like the older you, but as an athlete where you want everything to be the best possible, right? Like you are fine-tuning your nutrition, your sleep, everything, right? when you travel every week, it's hard, man.
I mean, you heard Joni talk about it. She was on the phone saying how that quick turnaround was kind of killing them, and I can only imagine track and field. How many people travel? Do you know a number? Because I'm sure it's quite a few. So
I don't know the number, but and we're gonna have Erica Saris back, who runs track and obviously does cross country as well, who's a stud this past year for cross country. He'll be doing the News and Social Center on Tuesdays, I believe, starting next week. But we can ask him a little bit about it. But it's a grueling schedule, and it's we just hope that they keep climbing. And yes, there is payoff at the end of next year, no doubt about that. When we come back here on this show that we call TexAgs Radio, we call it that because that was the name that was established a long time ago. We're gonna have John Puglisi on. We're gonna go back to some basketball talk, Julius Marvel's been the fun one to talk about recently, but there's other guys that are stepping up. So we'll certainly do that. And then at 10:35, we'll talk to Pete Futek of College Football News and get his thoughts on everything. TCU, as good as they were during the regular season, and the fact that they beat Michigan. I saw a number. Let's see if I can find it. How many points that they gave up in the last 6 quarters of football. And in fact, I believe Pete's the one who tweeted it out there. Yeah, they gave up 104 points in 6 quarters of football. Let me repeat that. They gave up 104 points in 6 quarters to end the season. I don't know about you, but I don't think that's a good number. 104 points? We already did what the SEC did against the Big 12, at least the top tier of both conferences when they played against each other, and that number was ridiculous. What was it, like 127 to, see if I can find that number, 110 to 27, right? Alabama and Georgia versus TCU and Kansas State, that was the difference, almost 100 points. But that being said, like TCU, who I think, they had a very opportunistic defense, and up until the very end, Michigan got right back in that game, even though they were pick 6 central. They got right back in that game because TCU was giving up a lot of big chunk plays. And Georgia, nobody talks about that offense being bad anymore. Hopefully, it happens right here. All right, we'll come back. We'll talk a little college basketball with John Puglisi, a little Aggie basketball. We'll get to your text messages on the A&B text line at 979-693-1150 and the phone calls. It is TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
Keyshawn Johnson, Jay Williams, and Max Kellerman.
As much as I'm not into other people's personal lives, I get into it. Well, I'm not into it, but I'm into it. It's like, I don't care, but I care. Last night, I found myself paying attention to something I really don't give a blank about.